Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Without Context podcast. Uh, I'm your host this week, RiftDuck. And to my right, we've got AnxietyLasagna. Below me is Jeremy or Decavolty. And then to my diagonal is SharkyHat.
It's going to be different on
Um,
my screen.
well, production magic. Everybody
Production
flipped
magic.
around. So this week we're starting our spooky series because this will get published on October 1st, which is, of course, the spookiest of months. Um, and today we'll be talking about urban legends of the spooky variety that are local to us. So, ghost stories or whatever everyone else has picked out. Mine's a ghost story. I don't know yet. It'll be a surprise. So we'll start with, I guess, going around clockwise for me. Again, it'll be different because Sharky's recording this, so I have no idea. But that means we will start with AnxietyLasagna. So Haley,
Oh
take it away.
no, I'm first. Okay.
Ladies first.
Yeah, and she's even dressed more like a lady today because I had a 3-hour webinar that I was on before this. So my urban legend comes from my own personal experience. Growing up in a small town called Milford, Delaware. There is which I'll send pictures to Sharky if he wants to include them in like post-production or whatever. But there was a spooky mansion called Parson Thorn Mansion, sort of like in the middle of town. I've been to it personally twice. And I personally believe that it's like haunted AF. Um, but it was built in like the 1730s or something, and like some important Delaware people that like I'm sure most of the podcasting community doesn't care about. It has its own Wikipedia page, but we're here about the urban legends about it. I feel like it's very haunted. I went in there in like the fourth grade when I was in Girl Scout, and I immediately got the vibe of like this is a place that like you shouldn't be in. And other people I've talked to that like lived around it, because there's like a bunch of apartments and like townhomes that are around it near the historic property, and they have all like anyone I've talked to about it's like yeah, that place has some stuff going on in there. Some of my friends that lived across the street from it at one point would say that they would like see like faces and figures moving in the building after they knew it was like closed and shut down because they like watch everybody who works there leave. And I don't think there's any like specific named ghosts in Parson Thorn, but if you take a tour of it, which like I'm not encouraging anybody to go visit Milford, Delaware and tour Parson Thorn Mansion because it's probably like the most boring, stinkiest place ever. But I know from my tour that I took as a Girl Scout and then came home and cried to my mom about how much I hated it, and then got a permission slip from school 2 weeks later to go there for a field trip. Yeah, it was the absolute worst. People died in there from like old and timey diseases like typhoid and diphtheria and like cholera and like all the bad water diseases. And you could even take like this little like windy staircase up to what I assume was like the servant or like slave quarters. There's definitely like an outbuilding where I think they had more of them, but like there was this black and white photo of a baby in that area of the house that because we were like tiny enough that we could like walk up the stairs and like go upstairs, check it out real quick. On God, like swear to God, I saw the picture move when I was small and was like, I don't need to be in this building for like 1 second longer. So like, yeah, let's take a break and we'll go outside to the backyard to, the on-site graveyard. And the prominent grave, I think it was of like Parson Thorn. It's one of those like partially above ground ones where it's like a little bit brick and then like a big marble slab on top. But it's busted. Like someone tried to like break into the grave, so it's like completely caved in and you can almost sort of see inside of it and it's really spooky. But yeah, that my urban legend is like that place is haunted. It's got all the bad vibes. There's even like a creepy it hits like all the like horror haunted house check marks, like creepy doll that sits in a rocking chair, giant mystery vase on the stairs that like could totally eat you or something, which is like That's another story. Creepy moving pictures, like the portraits of people whose like eyes follow you, spooky graveyard in the back. It's terrible. And my final interaction with this building was when I was probably like 11 or 12 years old, like a few years later. My dad thought it would be funny to, at night when we were driving home from somewhere, to pull into the driveway of Parson Thorn Mansion and turn the car off and turn all the lights off in front of the spooky house. And I, to this day, feel like there was a shadow that came out of the building as I was like sobbing and screaming for my dad to leave. So Parson Thorn Mansion in Milford, Delaware. Spooky, scary.
Weren't you here 3 years ago?
Oh God.
Haley, we figured it out. That's where your depression came from. We solved the case.
Mystery solved. Everyone go home.
No, I know exactly where my depression came from, and we could talk about that on a different podcast.
I feel like a lot of places on the East Coast, like in this area, like from Delaware probably down to South Carolina and North Carolina, have like places like that, like those old 1700, 1800 like manors, probably on former like plantation land that definitely have some like energy to them.
It definitely, like, I made my mom come with me as a chaperone when I had to go back for like the 4th grade field trip, because like I came home from that Girl Scout trip just like traumatized, and she's like, okay, you never ever have to go back. And then like 2 weeks later I'm like, Mom, and she like sat outside with me, which was almost scarier than being in there because we were by ourselves outside, which like it's not a huge estate that it sits on anymore, but like she even verified that like it had a vibe to it that wasn't, the vibes there are rotten. They're disgusting.
They're not immaculate.
They are not immaculate.
It does not pass the vibe check.
Speaking of plantations and rotten vibes, isn't that like, didn't we have our like graduation party for high school at a former plantation?
Sunnybray Manor?
Yep.
Right across from the high school that was probably built on it.
Good old MILF Town. Never
Good
lets
old
you down.
MILF Town. Yeah.
Sorry, what's the name of that city?
So the name is Milford, but it's MILF Town.
Okay.
MILF Town.
It's
Making
MILF.
sure I heard that correctly.
You did.
Okay.
It's not as promising as the name would have you believe.
That's
No,
disappointing.
especially not the area that Parson Thorn is in. It's in like obviously it's in like the more historic district of Milford, which like if our podcast ever like blows up, all of a sudden like Milford, Delaware is going to be like, everyone's going to Parson Thorn because Haley talked about it on the podcast. But it honestly, it just like I think my least favorite part when I took the initial tour was like we were all sitting on this like little settee, like the little like cushion bench things. And there's like 3 of us squished on it because we're like 7. And they're like, and it was like a Carlisle, one of the Carlisles, because that's like a big name in Milford. They're like, yeah, she died in this very room of like typhoid fever. We were like 7. We didn't know what that was. And all of a sudden we're just like up off the furniture. Like, we don't want to die of whatever this lady died from. And I know it's not very urban legendy. I know I live in the Pacific Northwest now and could have talked about like Sasquatch, but like everyone knows Sasquatch. So I wanted to talk about spooky, stinky Parson Thorn Mansion.
And not spooky, stinky Bigfoot.
Bigfoot. Oh, don't even say that. Pacific Northwest is going to come after you. They love Bigfoot here. Like
you are in the Pacific Northwest.
I am. I'm here.
Oh no, they're going to come after Haley.
It's like the equivalent that this area has love for Mothman.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I want to clap them cheeks.
Speaking of if the podcast blows up, Mothman, now you know.
What's the in the Discord server? It's like, this is a Mothman stand server now. It's like, it's a bird, it's a plane. Mothman lands. It's Mothman.
Mothman.
Oh my god, have you seen his immaculate butt cheeks on his statue?
Okay, that is something that if Kristen and I want to take a road trip to like various like paranormal like locations, and I told her we have to go to Point Pleasant because I need to touch the Mothman butt on the statue.
And leave a can of beans.
Whoever sculpted this statue like gave Mothman like the most toned, firmest ass I've ever seen on a statue. It's
Just
incredible.
straight up a W.
There was care put into sculpting that ass.
It's a beautiful butt. Like 10 out of 10, beautiful butt on
That
Mothman.
sculptor
I don't-
had to personally know Mothman.
That person had thoughts.
Intimate knowledge.
I
They've
like the
gotten
idea.
their ass cheeks clapped by Mothman.
I like the idea that Sasquatch and Mothman are just like the West Coast and East Coast, like the rappers of like the 1980s.
Absolutely.
Oh my god,
Yeah.
what if Sasquatch? Okay, I will that should have been in our fan fiction episode. Sasquatch X Mothman.
Oh boy.
They're
But
boyfriends.
that's-
Someone I know, Wiffles, you probably write fanfics. Get on it.
Got the
Whiffles
Just-
be my friend.
it's like make a Persona game, but it's just cryptids instead of like demons and like Bible related
On it
things.
immediately.
Just
Doing it.
Dream
we need a
cryptid.
cryptid game, cryptid fighting game.
Dating
Like
simulator.
Dream Daddy, except cryptids.
Yes.
Dream
Yes.
cryptid.
Give me the seduce Mothman arc.
So
Like,
Oh
what
my
we're
God.
saying, is for an extra context episode, we should play Monster Camp.
Yes.
that's the most excited I've seen Haley recently on these podcasts. Look,
I have wanted to play Monster Prom or Monster Camp for ages, but
Monster
I
Camp is
feel
very
like as
good.
someone who's in a happy relationship, it's weird for me to play dating sims now.
Nah, it's fine.
But that's Parson Thorn. That was
Any
mine. It's
questions,
not-
You're,
comments?
I feel like every town has the local. This is a creepy old haunted place, whether it be a building or like an old manor. It's like I feel like every town has one.
Let me actually get y'all a
Like-
picture of it. Charlie knows what it looks like because he's from the land of the MILFs. But
And I'll
you
post it.
guys-
I'll post it here in post production.
In post-production land.
like it's icky, it's spooky. It just has like it's gonna be the star of a Netflix series of like the haunting at Parson Thorn or whatever. Because there was like the
literally just
haunting at
like-
Bly Manor and then Hill House, which I started watching Hill House. Too scary.
See the
Just
thing
go
is,
mine's
watch
like-
American
scary.
Horror Story, just the first season. It's pretty much the same thing.
but-
That's
but
such
see,
an
like,
Anglo household.
you have the ability, like you thought it, you created it in your mind. Now it's out there in the world, and somebody's going to grab onto it and be like, you know what? This seems like a good piece of history to write a show about.
Hi, I will gladly give a testimonial about how much that place sucks.
It's just thing. It's like you've thought of it, you've formed it in your mind, and you have willed it into the collective unconscious.
I do
of
not put
mankind.
that energy. I do not put that energy out into the world. I do not. I do not
Too late.
claim this
Manifest
negative
it.
energy.
Collect your money.
Creativity is just the targeted marketing ad of mankind. It's just somebody thinks it, and then it goes to everybody else based on some mental algorithm.
Just the thought cloud.
Yeah.
Thought contagion.
Oh, good.
All right. Well,
out.
if no one has questions or comments, we will continue clockwise from me then to Sharky.
Yay.
Yay!
So this one is very local. Like down to the point that it's just a road in our area that curves through like farmland and everything around one of our bases that are around here. And my friends and I wanted to test this one night, so we went out there after midnight. So
Damn
the story
white
has
people.
some there was a lot of white people involved. But
Continue to get a
mostly
cuddle buddy for this.
mostly white people. So but there's a road here in Virginia called Elbow Road, and it's a curvy, narrow, like 2-lane road that goes through countryside with like the tall grass on each side, so you can't really see around the curves as you're going through them. It's very dangerous. I don't know. I've been out there recently. I don't know if they've like trimmed it to actually be more visible or not, but it definitely has like a history of like accidents and stuff on it. Going over to my thing here. Some basic stuff that is said about it is there's, the typical ghost of like a little girl, ghost of like an old woman. It's mostly ghosts and like seeing things at night. But my story My friends and I went out there a little bit after midnight, because we just wanted to see. We had friends that had a bunch of stuff connected to like supernatural, and me and my friends, a lot of us like believe in the supernatural and stuff. So we decided to go out there and just walk down the road. We didn't do anything crazy. We had like one video camera with us. We were just kind of walking. We didn't do anything crazy beforehand. And it starts in like a little cul-de-sac. So there's some houses, and then the road leads out of it from the main road. And we're walking down. We get probably about half a mile into it, and we hear like everything. We hear like the dogs barking from the houses like behind us. All this other stuff. And then it dawns on us that we pass a point where we don't hear anything. The dogs have stopped barking. We don't hear any of like the insects in like the grass or anything like that. And it's just like the thing of like, all right, that's weird. Like these dogs were just like barking like 30 seconds ago, and it just seems like everything stopped. And we decided to go a little bit further down the road. We all have like flashlights with us and stuff, so no cars are going to come careening around and like nail us or something. But as we get further down, we start to like, it's just like this uneasy feeling. Like it was just this thing, like the further we got into like this no street lamped road at the time, it's just like pure black. So I was like, no wonder accidents happen on this road. But like the further we got into it, it's just we all started getting like this uneasy feeling about it. And like there was but it's like we didn't know like if it was just because we're in the middle of this road in the middle of the night with no street lamps, just some kids, probably 22, 23, with like flashlights trying to see if there's any ghosts on the road. So we decided to head back sometime between probably 1:30, 2 o'clock at this point. Like we were up there like close to the witching hour, and it's when we realized like something really was weird, because once we crossed a certain point again, instantly all the sounds were back, like from the houses, the insects, the dogs barking, like everything. And it's like there was like a physical space where we could go and walk, and it would just cut out like entirely. So we're like,
oh, I hate that for you.
Yeah, so we're just like, you know what, let's go get in the cars and let's go to IHOP. So we're just gonna ignore this. So
not the haunted IHOP.
But yeah, it was just really, really unsettling. And it's like I've never heard of anything like that in regards to Elbow Road. I know the ghost stories and like the accidents and stuff like that, but just having this probably 5-yard distance where once you're through it, just every sound around you cuts out, and like you can physically like go between it to hear them and not hear them, was just kind of like really fucking weird to all of us. But after that we're like, yeah, let's just pack up and go to IHOP or something. It's like 2:30. It's like 2:30 in the morning, so it's like I wanted to stay more because like 3 o'clock is where spirits and everything get like really active. So I wanted to stay at least that last half hour, just kind of, even if like just on the entrance of the road, just to like do that 15-minute like walk to and from again. But we didn't do it.
This is how I know I'm white people, because I also want to go and fuck around with the sound barrier there.
See, why? I feel sick to my stomach right now. No.
Well, it's funny because like I know that one's creepy, but I also have a funny one, which, thinking about it now, I was really stupid for believing that it existed. When I was a little kid, my dad would say that there was a house down at our oceanfront area called the Pello House, which he said like he lived in it for a bit, like out after high school. Like it was like one of his first places he rented with friends of his and all that. And there was a room in the house that when they bought it, it was just filled with pillows. Like just had like some furniture, but like it just had a bunch of pillows in it. And he said that at night he could hear something slamming around in that room, despite nobody being in there. and he would like wake up and like the pillows would be all over the room and stuff like that. So I was like, you know what?
Hard ass pillows.
I was like, you know what? I'm gonna look this up, see if there's any credence here. And I was like, you know what? Thinking about that story and all that sounds really fucking stupid to be a haunting. So
It was
just
still
like,
scary to me.
yeah, but yeah. So after looking it up, nobody else has heard of like that urban legend or anything. So I was like, you know what? That's probably just somebody dicking with me. But yeah,
Extremely localized urban legend.
Yeah, but the Elbow Road one is still like I still like think about it to this day, and I kind of want to see if it happens again. Just because it was just so obvious. Like once we realized it, that we could go like past a line and back, and it was like dogs barking, insects, cross the line, nothing. Go back, dogs barking, like nothing else had changed. It was so weird.
It sounds like a portal to the Feywild.
Well, I'm only like 2.5, 3 hours from you, so this sounds like we need to go investigate.
Extra context. Watch as two of our hosts mysteriously disappear.
Two white people go something.
Without
The
context,
next
he's looking for a
episode
new
will be
editor.
like a sad
It's never been
announcement
done
from
before.
Without context. We mourn the loss of 8-Bit Duck and Shark.
Oh, RiftDuck.
Like, we'll play a montage of like some of their clips.
If an angel intensifies.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's Virginia has a lot. There's one that's not a local one to my area, but Virginia is the location of the Bunny Man urban legend, where it's the I lost like all of you guys in audio. Like everybody was talking, I couldn't hear anybody. But
there was like there was some spooky show on like Nickelodeon or something where the lady was like, the ghost of Bunny Man Bridge. And
that's the urban legend that it's based off of. It's
I
like
still have nightmares.
The 50s or 60s or maybe 40s or something like that. A guy in like a bunny costume like terrorized like drivers like near this bridge or tunnel in a part of Virginia.
Yeah, they said on the show that they thought it was like someone who, like, as it goes, like he escaped from the
escaped mental asylum.
And then he was like murdering or he was like harassing people, and then like they found somebody like hanging from the bridge, or what, the bunny guy was hanging from the bridge, but they're like, if you go there, they'll find you hanging from the bridge. And I'm like, 90s children's media was wild because like I watched that on Nickelodeon.
But Bunny Man is like, it's one of those things that like it did start in like the 40s or 50s, but like people are still like seeing, like people are still reporting like sightings of it. So it's but that's not in my area. I think that's more central or northern Virginia.
Oh, good. It's even closer to me.
I know we have the Cavalier Hotel here, which is a old hotel where like some deaths happened. So you see there's like ghosts of like an old lady, the ghost of a cat that passed away. You can see like wet like paw prints along the side of the pool like some nights. Because
Blue zoom on Haley.
Because the
ghost
the cat apparently like drowned in the pool. So at certain nights you can see like wet paw prints along like the pool side. Some nights.
Touch the ghost beans.
Touch the ghost beans.
This month is just Haley has a bad time.
But Virginia, with like just its history of revolutionaries, Civil War, like there's all the haunted battlefields and stuff. Like Virginia in a lot of places has a lot of different myths and like ghost sightings and stuff like that. Pretty sweet place. Kind of racist though.
Pretty racist.
Only kinda.
Pretty racist.
But that's Elbow Road. Corner, Bend. Elbow Road and Bunny Man and the Pillow Room.
Pillow Room.
Anyone have any questions or comments?
I guess my only question is why? Why would you go first of all, at night where you could like get hit by a car or worse, attacked by some ghost thing. Like,
So I think that night was actually we wanted to get somebody away from their house for a night, like some shit was going on.
mm,
So we're like, well, how can we kill like a lot of time? And it's like 2:30 in the morning. So it's like, you know what? We hear that this road's haunted. So let's go spend 30-40 minutes checking it out. So
quite literally, your night was fuck around and find out.
fuck around and find out. I've been
Did you
fucking
find
around
out,
and
though?
finding out. I've been fucking around and finding out since I was 23 years old. But I'm also white, so I have that disposition. So this area is
It's a mental
haunted.
disability,
Check it
let's
out.
see, you and I are built different. It's like, this place is haunted. I'm like, let me never go there.
Yeah, it's just what was it? When I lived with my roommates, it was my friend's grandfather's house or like his family's house. So we were getting it from his family for like the 7 of us to move into. And the first thing I noticed is like they have a lot of like Christian like things on the wall that has like a Bible and like a little thing of holy water in it. Like it's just one of those little like cabinets. Like
Just an
one of those-
emergency kit.
Yeah, it's just one of those things. But I'm like, we're going through the house on like the tour, and I'm like, Matt, why is all the holy water missing? It's just,
No.
and then it's like, I don't know. It's like, you think this place might be haunted? It's like, yeah. It's like, all right, we'll take it. So, and that's probably why I have. That's probably why I have a ghost following me around now. So,
That tracks.
yep.
Okay, we're gonna do like a bonus context of just whatever the fuck you just said.
Oh yeah, the blonde lady
Rip it,
in the
put it
gold
on
dress
TikTok.
that I've seen in 2 different houses so far. So,
Excuse
in
me
my-
while I go vomit.
and my experience with a Ouija board.
Well, that's your
I'm gonna
fault.
probably
You did that
need
to
a
yourself.
Zanny if
That's
we're gonna
too
do that
white for me.
episode.
I'm white. Like that's too
All
white
right,
for
can
sure.
we please move on from everything that is so spooky about Sharky? Like, I'm literally gonna puke.
All right, Deck.
All right, on to Deca's
All right,
spookiness.
so
then.
I have 2, and I respect people's triggers here. So I'm gonna give like there's 2. There's one called the Donkey Lady. This is a graphic tale. I can go into that.
I already
there's
feel
another
like I
one.
know where this is going.
There's another one that is known as the Haunted Ghost Tracks. That's not as graphic. It's a little more sad.
That name's also redundant. The
I mean,
haunted ghost trek.
It's probably called
I'm
the Ghost
gonna
Tracks.
I'm gonna have a bad time either way, so
Okay.
I will allow my compatriots to decide.
I'm fine with it. This
Go with
is
both of them
for-
too. That's
for the
that's-
content.
Just do both.
Just-
Ruin
okay.
my day.
I guess
Okay.
gold star warning before this story.
yes,
So,
gold star warning.
We'll put
so the
something
tale-
in the
I'll start-
description or at the start of the episode.
I'll start with the Donkey Lady. The Donkey Lady is a story of a couple with their children who lived in like southwest San Antonio, or southwest of San Antonio rather. And depending on who is telling the story, it could take place anywhere from as far back as like the 1800s. But many people will tell you it's around the 50s or so. So post-depression, post global war, and all that. The way it goes, it's one of 2 variants. Either the old man who lived in the husband had enough and just torched the building with everyone still inside, or some teenage ruffian came, or some ne'er-do-wells came by and just like Molotov'd it or something. Depending on what happens. But either way it goes, the majority of the family or all of the family is immolated inside. And the titular Donkey Lady is named as such because, without getting too graphic, she basically fuses with her favorite donkey and takes on the features of that creature.
that's not where I expected the story to go, but okay.
Sorry, there was just some banging over here. No, I'm really scared.
It would have been a
That's-
clopping. So like
Sasquatch is here
fingers.
for revenge.
Heard you were talking
I'm
shit.
having a terrible time right now, guys.
It's gonna
We're
be
here
a
for
rough.
you.
There's gonna be a rough month for you.
It's gonna be a rough time.
Yeah. So
Remember, we're doing podcasts about ponies.
So as the story happens, there is a bridge called Old Applewhite Bridge, that sometimes if you drive by it at night, you hear. And you might even see prints somewhere.
Love prints.
Just on the
Ghost
windshield somewhere.
donkey.
Stay on the
Some people-
windshield.
Windshield?
Yeah.
Get this goddamn donkey off my car.
Some people have even reported like just randomly their windshields are have like broken. Like
Look
just
in your
drive
rearview
by,
mirror,
you
and
cheer.
there's just a donkey in your backseat.
This really changes the how my feelings about Dominic the Italian Christmas donkey.
He's probably a
what?
good guy.
Oh my god, imagine like if they made like a donkey woman or donkey lady. Is she the donkey woman or the donkey lady?
Mm.
Well, if they made a movie about her, they could have like, you know how in like horror movies they'll have like children's songs but sang like really creepy. So it'd be like chickadee jig. Like a creepy version of the Italian
Yeah.
Christmas donkey.
So there is, or there used to be, a hotline where you could talk to the donkey lady. Which, of course, all the Caucasians here except for Haley are like, tell me more.
Leave it
What
to
was
San.
this number you
Leave
say?
leave it to San Antonio to monetize cryptids.
Look, I may be a Caucasian, but I'm a blonde Caucasian, and we're usually some of the first to die in a horror film. Like one of the first Caucasians to die in a horror film. So like
The self-preservation's kicking in.
self-preservation.
Fight or flight's kicking in. So that's the donkey lady in a nutshell. She usually just resides around her bridge, and you just at night hear weird sounds.
From a donkey woman hybrid ghost.
Yes. So the haunted tracks of San Antonio are on. I think they're also on the southwest side of San Antonio. But this is like inland or in San Antonio. The story goes that a bus was hit by a train. Yeah, it doesn't get any better. Hold on. And if you very slowly crawl up the tracks where it was, like with your car, you're going to make it no matter what. Like you're just going to make it. And it's the way the legend goes is the kids were never able to cross the tracks, so they just help whoever else crosses over.
Good.
And similar to the donkey lady, but not as graphic. You will see like little handprints on the back of your windshield. This is a tour that people actively choose to take.
Honestly,
Which,
nothing.
to Sharky's point about monetizing San Antonio cryptids.
Honestly, nothing fucks me up more than Kid Ghost because I just want to punch him in the face.
And there's the fight aspect of it.
It's just
the fight or flight.
creepy children are like the thing that gets
flight.
me. Like I like the scene in 30 Days a Night with like the vampire girl. I like have to fast forward that shit. I'm like, I hate creepy fucking children so goddamn much.
I played Days Gone on the PS5, and like, spoiler alert, but there's like small zombie children that come out and like try to attack you. I'm like, no, get this little thing away from me.
It's like that in Dead Space 2 also.
Gremlin?
When it's like you start one of the areas in Dead Space 2 and the first thing you see when you turn around is elementary school and you're like, oh, this is going to be the next hour of pain for my mental state, isn't it? Like, let me just deal with mutated children for the next hour.
Children aren't bad enough as it is.
So yeah, those are my San Antonio cryptids. There are I don't think there's any variants of the haunted tracks. It's just dead kids helping other people cross the tracks because they cannot cross the tracks.
At
That
least those
is
ghosts are useful.
that's so sad and so creepy because the little handprints freak me out.
Little handprints just whoop. If you have a particularly dusty car, just do a slow crawl up the tracks. See what happens.
Go when it's
Or
snowing.
don't,
Fine.
or just take a whole different way
I
to
mean,
get
it's
to
San
work.
Antonio, so
Just avoid it.
So in San Antonio, there's a lot of there actually are a lot of roads that they go up because San Antonio's, don't even get me started with their infrastructure. Anyway, so there is one that I take quite frequently that it's like up a hill almost, and then there's tracks that go long ways. You have to like give it some gas to get up, and then you have to give it some more to like hit the tracks, right? So you don't get stuck. So you're almost coasting off the fucking hill to get over.
All right. On to
That's all I got.
on to
that's
Charlie, who also
Donkey Lady.
it's also Charlie's first episode back in what, 2 weeks?
Buddy.
Like 3 or a month.
Yeah.
It's been a minute.
We missed you, buddy. And
What were you saying about the Donkey Lady?
another note,
I was going to say
Alvin's- we also didn't say Alvin's not here tonight because it's his birthday. So happy birthday, Alvin.
Yeah, happy birthday, Alvin.
Happy birthday,
At time of
buddy.
recording.
The night of recording is his birthday. You guys are seeing this days
Much
after,
later.
2 days later.
So
Yeah. I was going to check before I start into mine if anyone had questions or comments about Donkey Lady or the Ghost Tracks.
no.
Here are my comments.
It's
I
a
just wanna
visual joke for you podcast listeners. Go check out the
She's
YouTube.
steadily shaking a cup of water.
I feel like we should just call. Yeah, it's water.
Okay.
I feel like we
Vodka
should
at
just
this
call
point.
this like this month series of spooky podcasts just like Haley has a bad time the month.
Putting the anxiety in lasagna. All right. So
That's us putting Haley through different scary situations.
Yeah, I'm super excited for that potential topic we've been discussing.
It's just anxiety without the lasagna.
It's just anxiety, no lasagna.
But go ahead, Charlie.
Oops, all anxiety. So I also have 2 to talk about. The first one is known as the Corpse Light. It's also local to Delaware because that's where I spent a majority of my formative years. So this is a little farther south than the town that Haley and I grew up in, went to high school in. It's in an area called Cape Henlopen. But as far as the legend goes, basically there was a Native American curse put on the coastline. Yeah, of course, right? Put on the coastline, conjured to inflict either injury or death onto any European ships that were coming to America. So basically, as the ships approached at night, they would see the guiding beacon of like a lighthouse, only for those ships to be led directly into rocks, causing it to sink with no trace of the light to be found afterwards.
Prank, bro.
Ashton Kutcher just comes out of nowhere.
You guys got so totally punked.
A lot of people there is a lighthouse in Cape Henlopen that a lot of people know about, but that wasn't built until 1769, and as the origins of this go back to like the mid 1600s, and supposedly the first victim of the corpse light, I guess, was a ship known as the Devonshire Man. And of course, it was led into the rocks on Christmas Day. So, got that going for him.
Well done for
it crashed and killed over 200 people that were on board. And supposedly, if you go there around Christmas, at night when a lighthouse would be active, you can still see phantom lights, not of the supposed lighthouse or the corpse light, but on board the ship that still comes around and crashes onto the rocks. So that's a local urban legend that I guess I'll go check out at some point because, again, I'm white and I do dumb shit.
What a good excuse to get away from your family on Christmas. Like,
BRB, you gotta go ghost hunt.
Hey, Duck, where are you going to be? I'm going to go see the corpse. Like, the what?
What you know
It's
about
like-
them
Like
dead
you
bodies?
hate me.
where are you going, Charlie? I'm gonna go see another set of ghosts. I'll be back. Like,
What do you mean another? You heard
it's
me.
like there's only ghosts in this family now.
Woof.
Sharky, do we need to talk about something? That was a little dark there, homie.
So the second thing I have to talk about is more just in general, because of the area that I live in currently, and really it's local to, or was local to Haley and Sharky as well. There were a lot of battles for the Civil War around us. The bloodiest of which was in a place called Antietam. And Antietam was, again, the single bloodiest battlefield in American history. More lives were lost that day than last I knew any other American war, simply because every single person that died was American.
Yeah, I think the Civil War kind of skews death numbers. It was like
a little bit.
It's over 600,000.
it's just like everyone's like the Civil War was the worst. Like, yeah, we were killing each other. Like it was both sides were losing Americans.
Correct. So specifically the Battle of Antietam Creek, over 23,000 people died in that single battle that was 4 hours long. It was just
I think I've
a
heard of this,
staggering
actually.
amount of people. But so that entire town battlefield, all of it is supposedly haunted. There's
the,
places known. Sorry, go ahead.
Is that the battle where they were literally fighting in a street for the
Yeah,
majority of the battle, where it was just piles of bodies continuing to go?
They had to-
Yeah,
So that one is,
I've heard of that one. Yeah, it's there was so much death concentrated on a single lane in a town.
It was originally called Sunken Road, and they renamed it to Bloody Lane because of how many lives were lost there.
Mhm.
Some reenactors have supposedly vanished when they're doing Civil War reenactments along Bloody Lane.
Of course.
So,
Implying that they were ghosts or people have gone missing.
Yes.
Ew.
Maybe people realize it just has something better to do with their time.
Maybe they just had to go home. Maybe they just had to go home.
Another one, there is a bridge known as Roarback Bridge, that came to be known as Burnside's Bridge. There was a General Ambrose Burnside that repeatedly pushed Confederates back as they attempted to invade. And because it was repeated attempts over and over where they just thought they could kind of break through the line, it happened very quickly, and so soldiers were constantly getting buried right around this bridge, and so it's a particularly haunted area in town. A lot of people say that you can see ghost lights in the area. You can still hear the drums playing. So if you ever want to go to a haunted town in general, Antietam, and if ghosts and supernatural stuff aren't your things, it's at least history, so you got that going for you. Unfortunately, there's no Mothman cheeks to clap, but we're not that far from New Jersey, so
we haven't gotten to the cryptid episode yet.
West Virginia.
Point Pleasant's West Virginia, not Jersey.
We could go see the
if
New Jersey Devil.
Mothman
the
feels
Jersey
like he should be a
Devil.
Jersey thing. Let's be honest.
Well, this has been so
Jersey.
much fun.
New Jersey's also
Traumatizing.
monetized their cryptid, but so is Point
absolutely.
Pleasant. I feel like that's the only
Don't they
thing
have a
these
hockey
towns
team?
have going for them. So
So that was without context on urban legends in our area. So if
I hope
you
you had more
enjoyed it,
fun than I did.
We still got some time. We'll talk about
Sure.
the classic urban legends. And our favorite one. I like the hitchhiker.
Why must you traumatize Haley more?
Well, it's
I was like,
like
oh yeah, we're done. And Sharky's like, no, we're not. I'm like,
no, what sparked this was like the thought of like the original urban legends that like popped up. Like the hitchhiker, where it's like, hey, you pick up hitchhiker on the side of the road and you drop them off, and it's like the person varies, but it's like always a cemetery that they get dropped off at. Or the one that actually became the bad slasher movie urban legend. It started with the man in the back seat, where it's like the woman leaves the gas station and the truck, or the guy at the gas station like tries to, be subtle about it and get her like out of her car because there's somebody in the back seat she doesn't know about.
It's too real for me, Sharky. It's too real. I always check my back seat before I get in my car and under your car.
Same, and I only have one.
Yeah.
I only have 2 doors to get into mine. So.
Curiously, what's your plan of action if you were to find someone there?
In my car?
In your car or under your car? Like, what do you...
Just
what do you
walk
plan to
away.
do?
I don't
Just
have a
walk?
car anymore. I don't have a car anymore.
It's theirs now.
It's his car. It's
their
their car now.
I mean, obviously you like call 911 or you just like start screaming your head off, but like I haven't actually thought that far ahead because like now, thank you, Charlie, and now I'm gonna be scared about it.
No. Don't be
Like a plan.
scared about it. Come up with a plan of action.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, I have like I actually probably should say I have a totally regulation legal can of pepper spray that's totally legal.
To use
So,
on
like,
bears.
No one ever questioned it.
I like how there's like assurance that like this is
It's
completely
100%
legal.
totally legit that I got at a totally legit pepper spray store.
She's gonna show us the thing of pepper spray. It's just gonna be a gun. So I'll be like,
Alvin,
No.
we need you.
Y'all don't live in Texas. You can't just do that.
No, but if we're talking about our favorite like urban legend, I guess I always thought like the Loch Ness monster was cool because like it's just like a dinosaur that lives in a lake in Scotland and it's not bothering anybody and it's just
vibing.
hanging out and it has a cute little name named Nessie.
I'm in this place
It's
with
my
the Loch Ness.
baby after the Loch Ness monster.
Yeah, I'm in this place with the
My
Loch Ness
baby.
monster. I believe in like other lake creatures because everything about the Loch Ness monster, like all the evidence has been like admitted to by the people who did it to be fabricated. So while
Which
I
is
don't
why
believe,
I like it.
which is why I don't believe in the Loch Ness monster, but there are a bunch of other lake creatures, including some here in the U.S., like in upper New York and around the Great Lake area, where it's like, hey, there's some more weird things in lakes that might just be logs or really big catfish. So
We're going to talk about urban legends that actually bother us.
I don't think I can be
The
on this conversation much
one-
longer.
The one that bothers me, like, more than it should, is the legend of skinwalkers. Yep.
she
Well,
can't
we lost
leave.
Haley.
She can't leave the bonobos in charge of this. Did you see the gif of me having the monkey steer the boat? That is what this podcast is without Haley.
Aren't you like not supposed to say that word because it like tells them to come here?
No, there's
I mean, there's
You
a
have to
few
call them
different-
like spicy flesh.
no skinwalkers
destroyers.
are weird because from what I understand, the indigenous people don't like to talk about them because it gives them power.
I don't like talking about them either because they're scary.
The concept is
another reason.
known, but like they are a lot of existing tribes and everything will just not talk about them because they believe in them so like firmly.
Yeah, so the long and short of it is that they are shapeshifters of some sort, um, that can kind of look like people, but there's always something off, and they are abnormally fast apex predators, and they will hunt you down and keep up with you even if you are in a car. So, that being said, things like saying, talking about them, one in particular is whistling at night or humming at night as you're walking is supposed to attract them as well. So, don't do that. Um, but I have some very distant Native American ancestry in the Lenape tribe. And it's one of those things where, like, when I first learned about uh, these cryptids, we'll go with that to avoid giving them more power. Um, it was one of those things that like very much struck like a primal fear, and it was one of those like, huh, I shouldn't be this scared of this. This is concerning. What in my DNA somewhere has told me don't fuck around with this?
I think
My
that's
hat
just
is currently
mankind.
raised.
I think that's just mankind in general. Like, I think a lot of cultures and us have this thing where there's just something unsettling about something that looks human, but is still just different enough to not be.
Uncanny Valley.
Yeah.
Uncanny
And
Valley.
Uncanny Valley.
And every like culture has like legends of something like that, and even like modern day like vampires were considered like scary back when they were human, but they weren't human also. So it's just like this thing in our lizard brain that just is like, this is not human, but it looks like it, so it's concerning.
Hmm.
Well, lizard brain is there for a reason, and it kept at least some of us alive. So,
Yeah.
we listen to the lizard brain.
Hmm.
But I can't wait for a cryptid episode.
Oh, is that what we're doing next week? I feel like we should
Please,
just do that
God,
next week.
no.
But it's not even scary cryptids. It's just cryptids. You can talk
It's just
about
cryptids.
Loch Ness or Bigfoot.
Yeah, but you guys
That's
need to talk
one.
about something scary.
Hell yeah, I
we'll
am.
talk about, like,
Lacey
This
admits
has
to it.
been the Without Podcast
You-
Context Network.
Okay, so two things. One, you were the one that suggested Halloween, October. It's all Halloween.
Oh no, I suggested
These
it.
scary
She
months.
fully agreed with it though.
Oh, well, there we go.
I know.
And
I'm
two,
giving
if
myself
you-
nausea for the
if
content.
you need to take a hiatus and step away from the podcast for a little bit, it is
No, but I'm providing the fun content.
Action.
I told them, I was like, we need Haley here. The bonobos cannot run this show. The monkey on the boat was the perfect gift to explain what happens when we're left to our own devices.
That'll be displayed here. Because I said it, now Sharky has to do it.
I don't know how to add fucking... I think last time I tried to add a GIF to a video, it got fucked up, so...
You can
I
just
don't
put
know.
a still in, it's
But
fine.
still,
Yeah, that's fair. But,
But yeah, so
We
we're
don't.
getting closer to that hour mark, and for Haley's mental health, we're gonna call it here.
yeah.
Thank you.
So be sure to like, subscribe, follow, Cash App, whatever all of that is. I don't know. I don't host this thing. I'm just here occasionally. There'll be links down below where all good links are found. And we will see you next week with more spooky content. Goodbye.